Okay. Videos about Universal Soldier are officially cursed. This is the second time, well, this is the third time I've talked about Universal Soldier on camera, and both previous times the file has become corrupted and not gotten from the camera to the laptop. So here we go again, and I'm going to seem bored because I'm repeating things that I said before. But it's important because I got to talk about Universal Soldier. It's the best Van Damme. It's by far the best Van Damme movie. Bullet points of why I think that is. Van Damme's acting range is not very good. He's absolutely guilty of thinking that yelling is acting in so many roles. And this role, on paper, causes him not to do that. And actually to lean into a thing that he's subtly quite good at, which is the naivete and the confusion and the born yesterday effect. He does it again in Replicant. He does it a little bit in Double Impact. He's actually quite good at it sounds like he's just a bad actor, but he's actually good at flatness. And he's not a bad actor and therefore coming across flat. He's a good actor who's deliberately playing a flat character that is still engaging and able to be empathized with. It's the role in Universal Soldier fits his strengths perfectly and doesn't ask him to do anything that he's weak at from an acting point of view. Also, he has the help of Dolph Lundgren, and Dolph Lundgren's performance in Universal Soldier is incredible. From the opening scene to my absolute favorite scene in the supermarket, Dolph Lundgren actually carries a lot of the movie from an acting and character point of view, which again allows Van Damme's character to be so flat and disconnected. 3, the woman whose name I still haven't looked up and promised myself I never would. On paper, the romantic relationship between the male and female lead not being a romantic and sexual relationship is such a brilliant choice in the film. I think an 80s action movie would have for sure given them a sex scene and made it a romantic and explicitly sexual thing. That would have been weird. The Bechdel cast would have not liked that. Instead, what we get, because it's the early 90s and things are starting to change, is we get a great, I feel it's a sibling-like love between them. They really care for it, and yeah, there's weirdness about that because of the sexual jokes, which Van Damme does very well. He has excellent dry humor, and she's a great straight woman for those jokes. But ultimately, the characters, because it's almost paternal from both sides, right? Van Damme has the instinct to take care of her because she's a woman in danger, like the person he saw get killed in Nam. And she just becomes very caring and nurturing of him. And they both become caring and nurturing for themselves because they see that the other one loves them. It's extremely subtle, because the movie's not about this. But it is actually a wonderful depiction of a relationship, and the fact that they don't make it exploitative and sexual and titillating, things like that. All good stuff. Other than the movie doesn't have much in the way of weaknesses, right? I think the chase scene gets a little long and a little out of hand, but you gotta have your big action movie pieces. The film suffers from a thing that I've talked about before, and I'll never stop talking about, the action movie effect of as soon as the antagonist is dead, the movie is over. I know that there was an ending written and filmed, or maybe partially filmed, where there's a narration about how Luke lives out the remainder of his life and yada yada. And I can see why the writer would do that, and I can see why it would get cut. There should be some little epilogue. That was me cracking my knuckles. There should be some little epilogue about how the movie wraps up, but it doesn't need to be long. It's just another 90s action movie thing of well, antagonist is dead, so the film is done. The audience wants to leave, so it's over. I think it could have used a little more. I haven't seen any. Look how bright it is coming in the window. I haven't seen any of the other Universal Soldier movies. I had pledged that I wouldn't. I now take back that pledge because I've watched Replicant and Legionnaire and things that weren't in my Van Damme collection when I was a kid, so there's no point in me nostalgically collecting them again. Now I'm like, oh, I will just watch any Van Damme that I come across on Blu-ray or DVD. I will watch and review the other Universal Soldiers and see if they are good, as some people say they are, or if they're mediocre, as they probably are. So yeah, that's the video on Universal Soldier. Now, normally at the end of videos, I talk about what I'm going to watch next, but I did that last time I made a video about Universal Soldier. So I already watched Street Fighter next. So I'm going to make a separate video about that right now.